going to be explaining how to install my Undisciplined Caitiff mod for Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, but it's also the instructions for my standard mod patch. In fact, it's kind of generic instructions for any kind of mod, even a Skyrim mod, just the paths and the name of the locations change a little. So to get started, what we need are the files, and I have downloaded them, and my browser puts them into this downloads directory, but yours might put them to the desktop or some other place. But you'll know that from using your browser, or if you don't know, you can look it up on the web, I imagine. So this is the main file, and this is the hotfix file. Before we can do anything with these, they're in this 7-zip format, and we need a tool to extract the contents of these files. And for that, I use 7-zip file manager, and I'll put a link to where it can be downloaded. I'll also put a link to a tutorial that shows the use of this. And the last thing we need to know is where to put them after we have extracted that. And for that, I need to know where my unofficial patch shortcut is that the program created to launch the mod, or if you're using GOG, you should have a desktop shortcut that shows where the main archive is, or the main file is installed. Or if you're using Galaxy, there should be a way to find that location as well, although I don't know what that is. Anyway, so I select the shortcut, right-click on it, and then go down to Properties. And in the target field, it will have the path that I need before vampire.exe. And in this case, it's iMyGames x86, Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. And I have created a quick link to that. And so, indeed, that is where I'm needing to go. So, I'll go back to my downloads, and we'll need to start with the main archive. There are a lot of ways to do this, but the way I like to do this is I select it, then I right-click on this, and I extract to the folder name that matches the zip file name. It's kind of a simple way to do things. Although it's probably not the cleanest way, it is a way. And we'll do the same thing for the hotfix. And I believe if you're using I'm using Windows 10, but if you're using Windows 11, I believe there's just one more step you need to do. Is you won't have this selection here. You have to go to the bottom of the list and select more options, and then the 7-zip will pop up for you. So now, as I said, we'll start with the main folder here, and we'll want to take the contents of everything in here, and I'm going to cut them and paste them into the main directory. And I will know that it's the main directory because it will have a vampire directory, an unofficial patch directory, and a vampire.exe file. If you don't find all of those folders here, then you're in the wrong place. Although I should warn you that it'll just say unofficial patch. It won't say _10.4. I just add that so that I know what game I'm playing, and then it's part of my shortcut as well. You see the name, the name here matches the folder name. So what happens is whatever comes after -game is the mod that it will launch. So if I wanted to change this link to launch my mod instead of the unofficial patch, all I would have to do is change unofficial patch to Undisciplined Caitiff, or if I wanted to launch the anti-tribute mod, I just change it to that name. Or if I want to launch ClanQuest. I just changed it to CQM. I don't have ClanQuest installed here, but anyway, that's the way that works. So that's just the main archive. And we'll repeat that for the hotfix. And it asks if we want to replace, and of course we do, because that's the way the hotfix works. Now, the next thing we need to do is configure the mod so that it will launch. And for that, I have created this install command file. And if you're in an unrestricted folder, which means a folder that you have created yourself, which is what I have here, you can launch this by just double clicking on it. But if you're in a restricted folder, you have to right click on this and run as administrator. An example of a restricted folder would be any Windows system folder like C program files or C program files x86. But if you are in a restricted folder, you'll already probably know that because you'll have used that run as administrator many times before. But all I have to do for my situation is just double click this. And because of the oddity of my PC, it launches the window in another desktop. And the reason for this is this command does a bunch of checks for things that might cause you problems. And so it found some existing save files, and so I just want to back those up. And it tells me where it has backed those up to, so they aren't lost, they'll be there. And it says it has created a shortcut, and to use the shortcut to launch the mod. So we're all done, but once again it created the shortcut on a different desktop. We can go in and verify that after minus game it has the correct name, yes, and the location is correct. Now, one thing that is peculiar to this mod, and not the standard mod patch or the unofficial patch or any other mod that I know of, is for this mod to run correctly, the compatibility must be set. And to set the compatibility, you just click on the compatibility tab, click on run in compatibility mode, the drop down, and then it needs to be set to Service Pack 3 XP Windows. So we'll apply that. We'll just go back in. Our shortcut looks correct. Our compatibility's correct. And we're ready to run the mod. But it said that it also created a link in the main directory. And so here's that link. And we can just go in and check the properties on that. But both of these will be identical. They're linked together. A linking of a link. So if you set the compatibility here, it would be set for this as well, and so on and so forth. So for no particular reason, we'll just run it from here by double clicking on it. But I do believe if you were in a restricted folder, again, you would need to run it as an administrator. So here's the program, and it's running. There aren't any save files, so that's a good thing. And then we can just start a new game to check this out. And we'll skip the instructions. We need a name, so we'll just be named. And everything else looks fine. So we just accept that. And so we have made it to the tutorial, and we're able to talk to Jack, so everything is working as it should be. there's another option for installing, or not installing, but configuring the mod to run. So I'll go over that now. For people that would rather not use this install command, there's a way that you can avoid that. You don't have to do that. You can just, if you have your UP shortcut, you can just make a copy of that. And then rename it to something that makes sense for you. And the steps from here are the same, sort of. You just select it, go to Properties. And in this case, whatever's behind -game is the mod it'll launch. So I just need to use Undisciplined Caitiff to make it launch the Undisciplined Caitiff instead of the unofficial patch. But then the other thing I still need to do is I still need to set the compatibility. So I go in as before. And now this will launch the mod exactly the same. And it has. And we already know the contents of the directory work because we've tested that. So I believe that's everything I can think of. Just to recap, you need to get the files, download the files. You need to have a file manager or some way to extract the contents. And then once you've extracted the contents, you need to know where to put them. And when you know where to put them, you take the contents of the archives and you paste them, which is this folder here. And once they're in place, then you need a way to launch the mod, and you can either use this command or you can just manually copy the existing one and modify it by hand. So hopefully that was useful, and thank you for watching.